All right, so this is our first review. Tomorrow we're going to review as well. We only have one day after this to review, so I may review the test that we just took, but then we also had that chapter 1 test. I might do this, okay? I might actually do a review on my own on the computer, all right? Put it up on YouTube, so even though we don't go over it in class, it'll be up on YouTube. Is that all right? Okay, because we just ran out of days to review, all right? Possibly on Friday, we got the Grandparents' Day. If I don't know what time they're dismissing us to go in there, but if they dismiss us later, and we have this class, we'll use this time to review, all right? But if we don't, I'll put it on YouTube, so make sure you go and look. Everybody got that? All right, because we just don't have enough days. All right, let's stop talking and do this. All right, so it says evaluate each expression. So you could see, maybe not every single one of these problems, but several of these problems will be on the midterm, okay? So let's do a couple of these. And a lot of this stuff should be pretty familiar to you because we've done a lot of this in geometry, all right? So 16 minus negative 13. What do we do with a minus and negative? Make it plus, okay? So let's just do that, then we'll subtract the 15. So 16 plus 13 is what? 29. And then what? Minus 15. 29 minus 15 is 14. And there you go. No biggie. This should be super easy, right? What's a negative divided by a positive? It's a negative. So it's going to be negative what? 2. Easy peasy. What about this? You're multiplying all four of these numbers together. You got 3 positives and 1 negative. So what's the sign going to be? It's going to be negative, okay? So if you have, now listen, if you have a whole bunch of things, basically just count up how many negatives you have. If you have an odd number of negatives, your answer is negative. If you have an even number of negatives, then your answer is positive, okay? So right now we just have an odd number of negatives. So the answer is going to be what? Negative. 3 times 3 is, no, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is, how about 27? All right. That's all right. I'm letting you use a calculator. So if you have something like this, you're not sure about your multiplication tables, then use your calculator. All right. Here we go. What about this one? This is a little different. 9 minus 32 divided by 4. You got to divide first. Good. I like that. So it's 9 minus, it's 12. 32 divided by 4. What times 4 is 32? 8. 8 times 4 is 32. So it's going to be 9 minus what? 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. All right, it's just order of operations. Remember that? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS, however you want to say it. Okay. What about this one? Well, we do everything in the parentheses first, okay? Because this is multiplication right here, but we do that multiplication first? No, we do the stuff in the parentheses first. Now, since here, what do we do? Inside the parentheses, we do the multiplication first. So we do that first. You got it? So it's 2 plus what? 12, and then plus 2 minus 4. That's still in parentheses, and what do you do at the end? Multiply it by 2. So let's do this. Can we do this in our head? 2 times 12 is 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. 16 minus 4 is 12. But it's 12 what? No, it's not squared. It's times 2. It's different. Okay, it's times 2. And what's 12 times 2? It's 24. There's no squared in this. Okay, nothing's being squared. It's just multiplication, addition, and subtraction inside of there. All right. If you struggle with these, go back and do them again. All right. What you can do is get the video and fast forward until right before I start solving it. You try to solve it yourself, okay, and then watch the video on if you got the right answer or not. That's a good way to do it. It's a good way to use these videos. All right, let's do this. M plus P divided by 5. So what do? We do that first, don't we? But what's the problem? I don't know what? P, but I kind of do, don't I? So let's put the numbers in. So what do I put in for M? 1 plus P, which is 5, and then what? divided by 5. Everybody see that? Just plug in the numbers. Okay, and we've done a lot of that stuff in here, haven't we? We had to solve for x, plug it in, solve for a missing angle, things like that. So what do? 1 plus 5 is 6. Is that what we do? No, we do what? You do division first. So you got to do that first. So this is going to be 1 plus what? 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Look at this. You can go home and sit. Your parents ever say, "What'd you learn today in class?" My dad used to do that all the time. We'd sit at the dinner table. Does anybody ever sit at the dinner table anymore? We don't even do that in my house. It's just me and my wife anyway. But anyway, we used to sit at the dinner table. My dad was a teacher, and he'd ask us almost every single day, "So, what'd you learn today in school?" What do you think I said? Nothing. But if anybody asks you, "What'd you learn today?" what can you tell them? I learned how to do what? 1 plus 1, right? A little more than that, right? But you'd be truthful. 1 plus 1 is 2. All right, enough of that. Let's do this. Let's plug the numbers in. So P is 1, Q is 1. So that's pretty easy. Now we do have a squared on this one, don't we? It's the first time so far. So, but let's put the numbers in first. So I got a 1. So P and Q are both 1. So every time I see a P and a Q, I'll put a 1. That's being squared minus, what's that? It is, but we'll do that in the next step. Minus, can we do this step right now? Minus what? 0. Everybody see that? So really, do we even need this? No. So again, what do? 1 plus 1 is 2. Squared is 4. 2 times 2. Okay? We good? Yeah. All right. We're going to simplify. We're not really solving for x. All we're doing is just adding like terms is all we're doing. Okay? So which ones are like terms here? Well, it's not a 3x. It's a negative 3x. Okay? I'm really picky on that. So it's negative 3x and positive 15. So do those first, all right? Because you can't add those to that 9, right? You can't combine them together, I should say. So what is negative 3x plus 15x? It's positive 12, and then you put the x right there. Because negative 3 plus 15, remember what the rule is? If they're different signs, you subtract the two numbers, take the sign of the larger. So that's 12x. And then we put minus 9. Can we do anything with this? Do I go 12 minus 9 is 3? Do I do that? No, because this has an x and this doesn't. So that's our answer right there. It's pretty easy now, isn't it? Would you agree that a lot of the stuff that we are doing on this, we've actually done in the geometry course? Yeah, that's why I gave you this stuff, so that you'd be ready when you took the geometry stuff. Let's do this. Give me a good math word right here. What do we do with that negative 5? Distribute. Good. That's the math word that I wanted. All right, so it means you multiply it. Multiply everything in the parentheses times a negative 5. So let's do it. Negative 5 times 7a. So what's negative 5 times 7? It's negative, right? Because negative times a positive is a negative, what? 35a. Good. Now, you got to be careful on this one. You got a negative times what? A negative times a negative, which is, right, which is a positive. Everybody see that? Negative 5 times negative 6 is positive what? 30. Do I add those up? No, because that has an a, that doesn't. They're not like terms. That's the only way to write the answer. Let's do this one. Now, it's a combination of these two. Well, yeah, it's a combination of these two. So I'm going to distribute the negative 3. I'm going to distribute the 5. Then I'm going to look for any like terms, and we're going to add all the like terms. So let's do it. Let's distribute the negative 3 times this. What do we get here? Negative 30b. And then negative 3 times positive 10, which is negative 30. This is where a lot of people make a mistake. What do you think a lot of people do here? Well, I put the minus, and that's right. But what do you think a lot of people do that get it wrong? They probably make that just positive. They see that plus, and they put a plus. But it's a negative times a positive. Everybody good? What about this one? It's all positive, so it's just plus 5b plus 10. Okay? Let's add some like terms. Let's do the b's first. So I got negative 30b plus 5b. What's negative 30 plus 5? Is it 25? It's negative 25. Because you subtract the two numbers, take the sign of the bigger number. Bigger number is 30, it's negative, so this is negative 25 what? B. All right, I know I'm going kind of fast, but you can always go back and look. Negative 30 plus 10 is negative 20. That's your answer. You can't add those together because that has a B, that doesn't. All right, let's keep going. What do I got? 38. I might be able to finish this. This stuff right here. This 1 and 2 are definitely things we've been doing a lot of in geometry. Agreed? Solving for x. So how do I get rid of a minus 7? I plus 7. Okay, x is, yep, they cancel out. That's 20. Okay, what's this doing? What do I do? How do I get rid of that 10? Divide this time because it's being multiplied. Divide both sides by 10. All right, x is just plain old 4. Okay, and write down x equals. Okay, so when you write your answer, do you see how I'm doing right here? Okay, write x equals and then circle it. Okay, don't just put 20 and that's it. All right, show the work, write down whatever the variable is. In this case, it's x. X equals whatever the answer is and circle it. Good. What about this one? What's that 8 doing to the x? No, the 8 is being divided. But how do we get rid of something that's being divided? Now we multiply. It's probably what you're asking or answering in the first place. So I multiply this side by 8, so the 8's cancel, right? So what do I do to the other side? I multiply that by 8 as well. I don't really have to put this over 1, right? Because I don't have a fraction over here. I put this over 1 because this is a fraction. So that cancels. X over 1 is just x equals what? 16. All right, now we're really getting into it now. This is where you're going to have to do a combination of things, all right? So what's happening to this x? Well, it's being multiplied by this negative 9, and you're adding a 1 to it. What's the thing that we're going to get rid of first? No. Get rid of what's being added or subtracted first. Okay, what's being added or subtracted to it? The 1. So how do I get rid of the 1? I subtract a 1. Okay, make sure you understand that. All right, that cancels. What do I have? Negative 9x equals, it's negative 80 minus 1. Nope, it's negative 81. Because look, if I wrote it sideways, horizontally, what would I do? If it's a minus, what do I do to minus? Add the opposite, right? What's negative 80 plus negative 1? Negative 81. Now what do I do? Divide by, it's not a 9. I knew you're going to say that, and I say this every time. It's not a 9. What is it? It's a negative 9. It's a big difference. Don't just say, well, it's only negative, Mr. Hamrick. It's not just a negative. It's a completely different number, all right? So we divide by negative 9 here, divide by negative 9 here, cancels, x equals, negative divided by a negative is positive, 81 divided by 9 is 9. Let's do this one. What's happening here? Now, in this situation, we don't get rid of the 5 first, because what's happening to this whole entire thing here? It's being divided by something, isn't it? So I have to get rid of that minus 16. So it's being divided. How do I get rid of a negative 16 if it's being divided? I multiply. No, the opposite of division is multiplication, okay? So you multiply by negative 16 here, come over here, multiply by negative 16. This cancels. What am I left with? Well, no. The x's the negative 16's cancel. What am I left with? X plus 5 equals what? Negative? Come on, let's think. Negative times negative is positive. Subtract 5 from both sides. X is about 11. Okay? One more I think we got time for. Yeah, multiply, distribute it. So we've done this before today already. So plus 10, no, because the 2's got to be multiplied by everything, equals negative 2. Now we do what we did over here. What do we get rid of? Well, we get rid of the 10. The 2 I can keep over there, this negative 2. I don't mess with this 2 right here just yet. I get rid of what's being added first. So I subtract a 10, subtract a 10. That cancels. What do I have? 2x equals, what's negative 2 minus 10? It's negative 12. Divide both sides by 2. X is, no, it's negative 6. Come on. It's negative divided by a positive, okay? And that's a negative. All right, we'll continue. We'll do some more of this tomorrow.